All right, good morning, everybody. We have Shiker Nair this morning. Shiker is a 2018 grad. That means he's a junior now at Johns Hopkins down in Baltimore, where he's studying biomedical engineering. That sounds fairly important, given we're in the middle of a pandemic. Now, Shiker, when I book you guys, I usually send an email saying, hey, what do you think you want to talk about? And you told me, at least one of the topics was things I wish I knew in high school. So why don't you lay it on us? Are there some things you wish you knew when you were in high school?
Sure, yeah. So I think one of the things that I wish that I knew in high school before going to college was that high school is a really nice opportunity to explore your academic interests, and there's a lot of clubs for you. And so I think I wish that I kind of went through and did a lot more of the clubs, and also explored a little bit more of some of the academics, because really when you get into college, you start to only focus on one specific area, which is completely fine. But one of the things that I kind of miss is kind of looking at all these different classes and going to those. And so I wish I kind of explored that more in high school.
How about at Johns Hopkins? Are there any extracurricular or clubs you're in or anything like that?
Yeah, so at Johns Hopkins, I guess a lot of the extracurriculars I'm in, especially right now, are just research-oriented things. So Johns Hopkins is pretty well known for their kind of research activities. And so going to Johns Hopkins, that was something I was really interested in doing. And so I think 75% of the student body actually conducts research with professors or clinicians, because I'm in the undergraduate campus, but there's also the medical campus, which is only 20 minutes away. And so we're connected to clinicians there. And that's even what I'm doing right now. I'm actually doing research with one of the clinicians in the pediatric cardiology department. And so it's a lot of fun doing research. I think if you're interested in STEM things, I would definitely encourage it when you do go to college, because it gives you a nice leg up, especially when you want to go into internships and jobs, because although coursework is nice to show and GPA is great, people really want to see how you've applied that. And so if you can find a way to incorporate research into even anything you do, you can be a humanities major, an economics major, but if you can find a way to connect with a professor and do research with them, you really established yourself, I would say.
Yeah, that's a good message. All right, let's hear about biomedical engineering, which, man, it sounds important. But let's hear about it.
So it's essentially the application of engineering principles, so physics, chemistry, and biology to kind of biology and public health initiatives. And so generally biomedical engineering is really split into two components. So you have something called a wet lab and then a dry lab. So wet lab is kind of the lab you would think about if you're in AP Bio and stuff like that, where you've got pipettes, microscopes, and stuff like that. And generally what it focuses on is manipulating some biological component for a greater public health purpose. And the best example I can give of that is a vaccine. So when you're creating vaccines right now, what people are trying to do is they're trying to take proteins from the coronavirus and add them into some vector that won't actually harm the human, so that when we get these vaccines, our body will recognize the protein without actually contracting coronavirus. And so next time coronavirus actually comes to us, your body will be extremely prepared. So it's things along that kind of line, how can we manipulate biology in order to help ourselves for the greater purpose? And then the dry lab is what we commonly refer to as a computational lab. So this is not really exposed to us in high school, and I had no clue about it at all. I didn't even know how to code in high school. And so that's something that I learned in college, and I would definitely encourage everyone to do it. It was a really difficult experience because it's so a different way of thinking, but the applications for coding are enormous, especially in biology. And so a lot of what biomedical engineering focuses on is this idea of precision medicine. So how can we split a disease up into different components where we can give patients different treatment options? So cancer can't just be cured with chemotherapy, and that itself is not that effective. So how can we use data and essentially divide cancer patients into different populations where they receive different personalized treatments? So that's a really, really big component of biomedical engineering. And so these things I've only kind of started learning when I'm taking my upper levels, but it's really interesting.
I'm going to ask a question just because it's topical. And you may not be able to answer this, but if a vaccine, because it might be dependent on its efficacy, but if a vaccine comes out, say in December, are you lining up to take the vaccine?
Yeah, so if a vaccine comes in December, I'm not gonna lie. So I actually did an internship over the summer with Merck. So which is a pharmaceutical company for those of you who don't know. And so I got a lot of like insider information about the whole vaccine process and stuff like that. From what I've heard, at least, they think that a vaccine will only come out around sometime next year. So I don't want to like cast any doubt though. But they said that they would be really doubtful if a vaccine came out around December or at the end of the year, and they would kind of question the efficacy of it. But if it does in fact come out and it is kind of actually efficient, it's going to take at least months to actually distribute. And I'm sure that you guys probably know this, to like properly distribute across the United States. And so if we're thinking about like going back to school timeline and for college for me, I would say it's about a year. So yeah, that's what I would think.
You mean I'm stuck on my deck here for a year? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, quite possibly.
Oh no, I better get comfortable. Yeah, how about how's the vaccine, how's the virus affecting, I assume you're not in class, you're kind of hanging out in your apartment there?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not going to classes at all. And so the campus is not really populated right now. There are a lot of upper class students, so juniors and seniors, because essentially in college, what happens is after your sophomore year, you generally sign leases with apartments. You're no longer on the housing on campus. And so because of that, I was kind of coming over here, but it is kind of nice just because there's less people and the campus is like really beautiful. So, but it is kind of weird. It's really quiet.
Now I had you in AP statistics. I think it's the last year I taught AP statistics, yeah. And you picked it up pretty easily. I remember one day when I had to leave the classroom. I came back and you're like in the middle of a card game in the middle of class. That's how easy it was for you. I know that'll be my vision of you and your brother. But how well did Upper Merion prepare you for college? Did you feel confident?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great question. So I think honestly, the truth is Upper Merion prepared me as much as they possibly could, because there's an extent in which high school can't prepare you at all. And so, first of all, Hopkins is really rich with private schools and charter public schools. So like kids literally go to high school just to get into Hopkins, and like kind of it's just kind of crazy to see that, and like their parents very rich and stuff like that. So it is kind of daunting to see that. And so I was a little scared that maybe I wasn't prepared. But what I ended up realizing is that I feel like public school and even Upper Merion prepared me even better than they did. Like I think the great thing about Upper Merion is that if you want to do something, you have the opportunity to do it. And it just takes a little bit of your own like pushing and nudging to do it. Like if you were interested in chem, take AP Chem. If you're interested in physics, take AP Physics. And your teachers are really great about like encouraging what you like. And so I think I developed really healthy study habits from high school and kind of a drive from that. But once again, college is like a lifestyle. It's not anymore a 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. kind of thing. So you have to really figure out a way to navigate the system. Like you're now in a place for 24 hours, and that place is your home too. There's no distinguishing between school and home, although right now you probably are kind of melding them together. But you have to make sure like you prioritize, and it's just issues that high school won't, just because the high school is such a different experience that it won't prepare you for. So definitely like I would say understand yourself. Like if you like doing work at night, then make sure that at night you're being efficient, and that during the day you could chill. But if you're the opposite, then just make sure you're doing things at the right time and not overdoing anything, I would say.
Okay. Hey, finally, I did have you in AP Stats. You doing anything with statistics in your major?
Yes, actually a lot. So right now I'm taking a lot of data science classes. And so a lot of that is starting to use concepts like machine learning and linear regression, basically, to like accurately predict like diseases or things like that. So it is kind of interesting to see that statistics being used there.
Okay. Hey, Shiker, I want to thank you for getting up so early. I know you're in college, so by the way, when is your wake up time normally?
So normally it's like 10 a.m., but I have a 9 a.m. meeting today. So I was like, that's great. Like,
Yeah, I know. You're in front of a class full of seniors saying 10 a.m. That sounds pretty good. Heck, it sounds good to me. Everybody there, go to college if for nothing else. You get to sleep in a little, Hey, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yep, no problem.